There's a question here from Jack, and he says, "Hey Mike, if you were to start again from scratch in 2024, what would be the first things to do in terms of everything? Business, physique, relationships, what would you prioritize? So, well, what order for it would you advise a young man to start developing his life in? Because you mentioned before that it sometimes works better if you just prioritize one thing. If you'd still use that in the sort of general building of a man's life, what would be the order?"
So the relationships, I would put that right at the bottom. I think if you're really trying to get your life in order, build something, having a relationship with a partner, it's always going to be time consuming. And it's nice and it's good to be with your partner, to cuddle them and spend time with them and do nice things. But that time will come. And I think you'll find if you're at the beginning of your journey, it's going to be pretty hard to find the type of partner that you are looking for because you haven't fucking done anything yet. You probably don't have any money. So that girl you want is probably going to be with some older, richer guy. So I would hold off on that for now and just come to terms with the fact that, right, that I'm going to have to sacrifice the relationship side of my life. It might even be family as well. I was like this when I went to London. Didn't really have any. I had the opportunity to go to London and make loads of friends, but I decided to work on my business, so I didn't really have many friends. I had a long-term relationship, but I didn't really see it that much. I didn't see my family that much, but that kind of was, I guess, the sacrifice which I needed to make. I think you can still maintain good, healthy friendships, but you have to be more selective with who you're going to be spending your time with. So I would only want to spend time with people who are focusing on self-development and building something, and also us kind of prioritizing their health and their fitness and whatever it might be. So I think physique could come. Physique is something which I don't think that really takes up a huge amount of time, in my opinion. I think all you have to do is just eat sensibly, sort your diet out, and just go to the gym. It's like an hour of activity a day, just doing something, but just be consistent with doing that every week. You can very quickly optimize your physique and your health. Not overnight, but that's something which little efforts every day will build up into something impressive over a longer period of time. I think at the start, you're gonna need to decide what it is that you're gonna be really good at. So acquiring some sort of a skill. There could be a number of things which you want to work upon, maybe a few skill sets which you choose to learn. But I think really choosing that one thing that you want to be like, right, I'm going to be the best at this, and then do everything you can to be the best at whatever it is that's going to be. And then spiritual. I don't know. I feel like it's very hard to know yourself in your early 20s because you just haven't really done anything or experienced much. So don't be frustrated or feel surprised if you do feel lost and confused. Because I don't think it was until I was 28 where I felt like I'd started to have things figured out. Maybe now it's a little bit different because there is just so much out there in terms of self-development. There's so many podcasts, there's so many YouTube videos that if you could allocate a certain number of hours per day into just self-development and listening and learning, you could probably fast track that. But that being said, I don't think there's no substitute for actually going out there and experiencing life. So having different relationships, working with different people, traveling, experiencing the highs and the lows, doing things you've always wanted to do, doing things you like, realizing what it is that you don't like. That's when you start to figure out who you really are, what type of person you are. And yeah, as I said, for me, that was when I was 28. And even now, like each, what's interesting now, I'm 33. My desires have changed a lot over the past couple of years. Even when I was 30, I think this was particularly after COVID, because of all that bullshit of being locked up in my apartment for months. I didn't care about anything at that point. I just wanted to go and live my life because I'd just been stuck indoors for ages. So when I was 30 and I turned 30, I just wanted to have like the best summer I could possibly have. And I think even then, when I was 31, I was still in like my mentality was not chasing girls. I don't really need to chase, but I like spending time with girls, just going and off and having little adventures with you beautiful women. I love doing that. But I don't like doing that anymore. I just realized how much of a drain on my time that is. And going to parties, and although I like to travel, I don't like to travel as much as I did before. If I do travel now, it's for a purpose, a business purpose. Whether I'm going to collaborate with people or do podcasts with people, now I'm not interested in that. Like now so I've just come to the realization where these next few years are the years where I have an opportunity to do some really amazing things and build some amazing things before, it gets to the point where I'm 36, 37. Maybe I start having kids. Maybe, I get married. Don't know if I'm going to get married, but that freedom which I have now is not going to last forever. And the kind of the lack of responsibility I have now is also going to change. So it's an opportunity now to be very selfish, to work upon myself and these goals that I have, so that once, hopefully I've achieved them in a couple of years, I can then prioritize my family over everything else.
Yeah, that's really wise. Like, whilst you've got the opportunity when you're young to take those selfish risks to be able to develop yourself and experience life. So you mentioned like you're not really interested in traveling now, but a part of that is the point of business that you've got to, but also the fact that you've done a lot. Like, I swear you've been to Ibiza more years than you've been born. So for the guys here, like, would you recommend that? Just if there's a 18-year-old guy here, he's saved like $3,000, would you recommend he take that like month-long trip to Thailand? Or
Yeah, I think so. I think go travel somewhere and do cool stuff. Don't go and get off your nut for 1 month straight, because you're not really going to get much from that. It's going to be detrimental to your health. You're not going to remember half the trip. You might make some funny memories, but you probably won't even remember them. So I would recommend traveling for sure. I think that certainly is one of the best things you can do in terms of just opening your eyes and learning what other cultures are like,